You don't even have to count anymore, honestly. Anyways, good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody. I don't know what other YouTuber says that.
I
But
don't think anyone
yeah.
does, honestly.
No, someone does. It's one of the guys who like review Pokemon reviews, and that's what he says. Like just the lore of like I think it was the one how
Oh.
like Deoxys. Anyways, my name's Gerard,
I'm Jasper.
and this is the initial F.
Yes, we call it initial F because we have no other good names.
We
No.
have no idea.
This sounded the best, and we're both like, did you watch Initial D?
Yes, I did.
So did I. And
So
we
why is it F?
Initial Filipino.
Oh, see, I don't
Initial
even know the
Filipino.
lore.
That's why. Yeah.
Okay, that you know what, that works. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you know what, if say one of us regrets it, it's fine because like Smosh for example, right? At some point they actually wanted to rebrand, but they were like, you know what? There's an appeal about being the OG name,
Yeah.
especially like their sign thing.
Yeah.
They wanted to change that for quite
Yeah.
some time now, but they still kept it. So, anyways,
Yeah, we call it the Initial F podcast. We had a couple of what's it called? Ideas. Okay, I'll do this. So, some of mine is cultured content, which is like a trash taste clone. Yours is unsophisticated palate.
Yeah, see, I told you it's the fancier way of saying trash taste.
So
But
yeah.
then again, we're not trying to.
No, we're not trying to
we
be
have
trash
everyone-
taste.
First of all,
We don't have
we're
a
just-
third person.
Yeah, we're just.
We're just two. There might be a third person.
Depends.
Depends.
Depends if,
If it's-
one of our other friends, right?
Yeah.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
We know who you are. You know.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to tell me after because I don't know.
Oh, okay. Starts with the letter N, but we'll
Oh, okay.
we'll put it as an NDA because like he's not
Yeah.
part of the lore yet.
Yeah.
give
He's
or
not
take.
part of the trash taste. Or sorry, the
trash
Initial
taste.
F universe.
We love trash taste.
Yes,
We watched. You remember that when we first started, like when they first started
Yeah.
talking about it, right?
Yeah, it was like 2019.
Yeah, and we've just been watching it ever since. So
You know what though? During high school, do you remember me going up to a bunch of people and like, dude, we should start a podcast, an
Yes.
anime podcast? Like, I went up to like, I think I'll redact the name. We went up to name. I'll probably bleep the name because unless he comes on or whatever. But like, I went up to like name and the guy you mentioned were like, dude, we should like create a podcast like of talking about anime. So
That's
we had the initial idea first before Trash Taste.
we
Even we're talking about it.
we are the OGs.
We are the real
tried.
OGs.
We honestly tried, but
We
it
didn't
didn't
try
go
it
through
all.
because like high school we let's say had I just realized both of us have different mics. We're using this mic because it does sound better than the lapel one.
Yeah.
So we settled. I actually settled for this one, and Jasper's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
it's fine. So I'm gonna go like this.
No, I just
but-
made him take that mic because this mic's much better.
I know, this
Well,
one-
we'll get you a good mic, but for now it'll be
we'll see.
that.
I'll probably bring my own mic instead.
Yeah, that
if
works.
I get my own to begin with, if I'm gonna invest, but I think we will eventually. So.
Yeah, we just gotta keep going eventually.
Where were we? What were we talking about?
We were talking about our names.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Names.
So like, a couple of the ones I had were Hot Swap,
Oh, I swear.
which actually sounds pretty good. The Hot Swap podcast.
But it sounds like we're gonna like talk about computers, but we're not really technically talking about computers, considering our surroundings. But it works.
I also put Project P as like a node to Initial D for like Project D.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one I remember.
Average Asians or averagely Asian.
Nah, like I went to his house. It's not average. I would say myself is like middle class average. This one's like just the above average. You know the type of guys who did coach builders in 1930s.
I think you did this one. It's Bobo Buds.
No. I never
No,
did
you
that.
didn't.
Why does you sound like you put it in an AI and said, "Give me podcast names."
I think I don't
No,
know.
I didn't. I
Card
didn't.
Crash, Danger Dogs, Eccentric Eels. I actually, because we were like trying to think of
Eccentric
names.
what?
Eccentric Eels. I
Oh,
actually
Eccentric
went to
Eels.
an AI name for podcast generation. So I put in the thing for like anime, and some of these are so funny. Cooch chit chat.
Cooch chit
Cooch
chat?
cooch chit chat. Tipu and Dobby Anime Podcast, which I don't even know how I came up with that
I
names.
dude, it
It's
just
so it's so like generic. Anime talk, anime time, otaku and otaku, podcast the R, anime
Owen
uncut.
Owen O sounds pretty cool. Otaku and Taku?
Here, let's see if I can find some of the Otaku Girl Radio,
There's no women here.
the talk of the town. There's no women.
Yeah.
Anime news by Otaku.
A bit. It sounds like
It
it's
it
very
sounds
2007.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find like some of the funnier ones. Cause I have like Jugademia podcast. Jugademia podcast. I think I put into this one for the prompt as like Filipino,
Uh-huh.
Christianity and the rest of the world, Life of Jesus, Christian Bible Church, Port Moresby,
Why?
Pangea, Stone Poet Radio.
I don't know what you're looking at. Oh, because you're not using.
Well, I'm not using ChatGPT.
yeah,
I just
I'm a
gotta.
ChatGPT
yeah.
guy.
But like putting in Filipino gave us like a whole bunch of stuff for Catholicism, like Catholic Talk podcast,
But then again,
the Gospel of Luke. I think that would be a really good religious podcast. I'm just saying.
Gospel
At the
of
Gospel
Luke.
of Luke. Welcome to
they're-
the Gospel of Luke.
They're all
podcast.
talking about just the Gospel of Luke, and that's pretty much it. But
Well, you know.
it's okay. I think it's all right.
But I think the initial F. Initial F is it's kind of catchy.
I'd say
It's
it
not
is
it's not
catchy.
blatantly copyright either.
No,
No,
someone I don't know if you have the name.
it probably
Just let us
doesn't.
know.
Yeah,
We're not.
we'll change it.
We're fine about it.
Yeah, we'll just become the Bobo Butts. I don't know where that came from. I don't remember because like some of the ones like I came up with like before I went to sleep in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's I don't know. Bubba podcast,
the
Like-
Bobo podcast.
like stupid podcast.
That sounds just dumb.
It's just I feel bad about it. So, variety. Well, what kinds of topics are we going to talk about?
Well, I do have a topic that I wanted to get off my chest, and I've talked about it quite a while with like my fam.
You did talk about it as well
Yeah,
on text.
so-
like any point where we had a conversation, like for example on Instagram or in person, I think it's already like the topic.
Yeah.
So
So,
Go ahead.
if you didn't know, I am a volleyball player.
I knew.
I think that was like hella loud, but it's fine.
What?
Your mic. You like held it like hella close. You almost like
No,
deep
that was
throated
on
it.
purpose.
Oh.
That was on purpose.
Okay.
Okay, go.
So volleyball. Volleyball is like my second sport that I fell in love with. The first sport I fell in love with was hockey, obviously. Obviously, I was a hockey player for like for majority of my life, really. I still do like beer league, like in the winter. But volleyball is the second sport I fell in love with at the ripe tender age of grade 9, whatever age grade 9 was. I think it was like 15.
Oh yeah, we met in high school.
We
not
did meet
middle
in high school. We'll get to the introductions later.
Yeah.
So my family's a volleyball family since hockey's really hard to get into, and we joined a tournament recently that was it was like a volleyball tournament. We found out it was a Filipino centric tournament.
Oh.
Now
okay.
what that entails is that you can't have more than 2 what they call imports on your team.
Okay.
Or on the court at the same time. So you can't have 2 imports on the court at the same time. So if you weren't Filipino in any way and you had 3 of them on the court, like you could have 3 on your team, but 3 on the court would be no good. Your team would basically get disqualified.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's odd.
Yeah, it's odd. Yeah. So we didn't really know that until the day of because the organizers were pretty shit. I'm like just trying to go through my head because my brain thinks a lot faster than my mouth and then it doesn't process things properly.
Let it process. It's okay. It's a safe space.
Yeah. I'll start at the beginning. So we got together a team of some of my friends, more of my brother's friends, and we got a team together. It was like 10 of us, and we did like practices. It was more like drop in, and then we got more serious about it when we heard that the competition of volleyball that we were gonna face is more akin to club volleyball. Now, if you don't know about club volleyball,
No.
uh, it's basically like higher level skill of volleyball. It's just like when like people play like hockey, right? There's like clubs for hockey. There's clubs for
Are
volleyball.
there like levels?
Yeah, there's levels. It's like every sort of every sort of sport has like a tiered system. Like for like basketball, you have like, I don't know what the tiers were, but
Mm.
you have like, the age groups, right? And as you go up in age, the skill only gets higher
Yeah.
or lower depending on
Interest. Many different
skills.
factors. Yeah.
Yeah, or like talent, because like some of the really
Does
talented
height
people.
play a big part of it?
Oh, height's like a really big play. Like some people can get onto teams just by height alone, and they'll probably be middles because they can't receive or
Yeah, you
pass or
can
do
tell some
shit.
of them are just like just a bit, just a tad bit untalented, just because they went in by their height.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you can pretty
Just to
much
feel
tell.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like, so yeah, it's gonna be like almost a club level volleyball, and like in terms of what's it called, recreational skills,
Mm.
it would be like higher than that. Like it's not drop in volleyball. I'm saying
Yeah,
it's
not
more.
gym class type.
It's not gym class type volleyball. It's not drop in type volleyball. And any of like the volleyball players who know and like go out to drop in know that with drop in volleyball, there's different levels. Like
Mm.
sometimes you'll get like a really good like team that have good skills and that you'll actually get some decent practice out of. But 90% of the time, the people who go into drop in volleyball are kind of ones that don't have like polished skills. They can't really hit right. Their passing is kind of
Mm.
off, right? They don't set, like they don't know anything about rotations,
Right.
right? So basically everyone in this tournament knows about like basic rules of volleyball. They're actually really good like volleyball players, and they like practice a lot, go to drop in. I'm making this way too long.
Where are you going with this? It's a
I
good
don't know.
intro.
I don't
It's a
know.
good
I don't
intro.
know.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just like giving like some context background.
Background.
Yeah, some background.
Yeah.
And basically we started practicing, right?
Yeah.
And we were under the guise that this tournament will be like every other tournament that I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like having like actual carded refs, having a really good organization running it, and having good organizational skills and organizers. There was none of that. This
Oh.
was the worst volleyball tournament I've ever taken part in or seen.
Mm.
So the organizer we had contact with that like cooked us up with like drop that told us about like drop in, because he also had like a team that he funded,
Yeah.
he supported. I think support is the right answer.
Supported is, I think so,
Supported.
yeah.
And he just invited us out to get some practice for his team and practice for us, which is it's nice,
Mm.
right? We went to those and it was good. And he basically told us that there was gonna be actual refs. It would be like a pretty legit tournament. It would be a really high skill level tournament, which, in all fairness, it was. It was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So upon hearing that we were gonna get like real refs, we started to go over like actual rotations, like all the boring shit that in the beginning of like school year or school clubs you have to go over so that everyone knows their role and what they're doing, like in serve receive.
Right.
Right.
So to make it organized as well and like convenient once everything is there, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you don't want to mess up during gameplay.
Exactly, because like
Right.
serve receive is a fickle thing, because if like so this is basically like a primer for like volleyball for you. So
Context, I don't actually.
he doesn't know volleyball.
I don't do sports
No.
at all. I have no sport.
So basically, God, where was I? Serve receive.
Service.
So 6 players on the court. That usually includes the libero, which the libero subs out for the middles more often than not. The libero will basically go in for any bad passers, which, in all fairness, is your middles aren't going to be your bad passers. Are going to be their bad passers because they don't really touch the ball much
Yeah.
in terms of defensive wise. So And for different rotations, there are different like what's it called? Positions, uh, different layouts of people on the court,
Mm.
right? And if you're in like an actual game, and uh, so the ruling is, if you can't go base, I can't. I'm trying to think of everything in my mind.
Don't worry.
Basically, everyone has like the layout, right?
Yep.
So we'll start like 6 players on the court. We'll have it in the like the first rotation. If one person moves before the ball is served, it's a team. It's a point for the other team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important, and we teach. I'm a club volleyball uh, coach, so we teach like the athletes that you move after the ball makes contact with your hand to make sure that it's not out of rotation,
Mm.
right? Does that make sense?
Sort of, yes. I'm
Right.
trying.
You're trying. So basically, if anyone see, so the one that gets hit most by this is the setter, right? Because the setter has to move more places than not. So if the setter moves before the ball hits the server's hand, it's going to be a point for the other team because they're out of rotation.
My brother in Christ, where are you going with this?
I'm giving context to like why we went over serve receive so much, because we paid for like private courts at a facility
Mm.
just so we can go over service rotation. We didn't practice anything else other than service rotation, really.
So it doesn't look like you guys did it, eh? Or like, I guess the organizers, they weren't doing much, you think?
Well, the thing was, the organizers were our refs. When we got in, there were no carded refs. What we call official refs are carded refs because they have like their cards. They have like the documentation that they're legit actual refs, sanctioned by or given certificates by Volleyball Alberta. There were none of that here. And one of my cousins is a carded ref, and she was playing in the tournament.
Oh, okay.
So immediately we were like, shit, cause like reffing volleyball is pretty tough
I would say that
because
for the other
you
side
have
as
to
well,
look
yeah.
for net touches, you have to look for foot faults, you have to keep track of where the setter is on the
Footwork.
foot faults. So
Mm.
when you're serving on the volleyball court, you know the back lines, right?
Yes, I know those.
Yeah, you can't touch those when you serve.
Okay, yeah, that one makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And another foot fault is there's a line like down the middle, right? So volleyball court is like a big rectangle. It's like a Mexican flag,
Mm.
I think. No, it has a okay. It has a center line, and then it has two what they call attack lines or 3 meter lines. Okay, so they have the back line, the 3 meter line, and the center line, right? So another foot fault is when a back row attacker puts their foot on the 3 meter line. That's also a foot fault
Huh.
because technically that's the 3 meter line is the division between back row and front row. So if a person's back row, they can't attack in the front row. Does it make sense? Yeah. And then another foot fault is basically someone going under the net.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
that
sounds
it
about
makes
right.
sense, right? You don't want people landing on each other or something. Even though there is technically some leeway for like hitters or like some people, like you can have your foot on the line as long as it's not completely over the line.
Hmm.
So if half of your foot was like on the line and not over the and on the line but not on their side of the court, it's technically legal, but it's like to the referee's discretion. They didn't call any of that.
None.
No. These refs were they were the worst refs we've ever had. And it makes sense because they weren't actual refs. They did not even know the signal for a back row attack. They didn't know the signal for like ball interference, which is basically where the setter tries to set a ball, but the blocker will put their hands over and then basically block the setter from trying to set the ball,
Right.
right? yeah, these refs were atrocious, and it's one thing that like we were initially scared of because like the last tournament we joined with this organizer, they were just having the athletes refs themselves, which honestly they should have just got their like someone from a different team to ref for them, because at least the team that sends the ref over would actually know what the fuck is going on, because these refs did not know what the fuck is going on, right? Like it's pretty simple. Like if you've watched like 5 games of volleyball, you can understand what the rules of volleyball and like what the ref will like call.
I'll probably start watching Haikyuu then.
Yeah, Haikyuu's a good anime for watching. I like wrote down like a whole bunch of notes because I was like so mad.
So in like, let's say conclusion, what was the main thing, your main gripe about what happened?
The whole tournament.
The whole tournament.
The whole tournament was atrocious. Okay.
One by one, list them.
Okay, well, here's what I wrote. Okay. So obviously the refs are dog shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other point I have here.
I'm looking at it right now. It's a lot of
Yeah, it's a lot of things. So another thing is the rules, right? So we thought it was gonna be like volleyball Alberta rules, where like they like unlimited subs. You only can sub for one other person, and you can't sub for anyone else, right? And they had that, but one stupid rule they had is that you can touch the line when you're serving. And you can touch the line when you're back row attacking. Which, obviously, as I've just explained, is illegal in volleyball. It's illegal in volleyball, and it's a point for the other team. Literally, on our, like, 3rd game, the refs come up to us, and they're like, okay, rule change. You can't touch the line when you're serving anymore. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that was not a rule? That's not a rule. You have like people had like 10 feet behind the service line to do like their full run up. Like 10 feet is a lot of room for any sort of serve. Right? So for them to like come up to us and say you can't touch the line anymore, it's like that shouldn't have been like, it should have been like that in the first place kind of thing. Like it should have been kind of like it was just bad, and like they let 2 touches go, which for setting like we're drilled like for setters that if your ball is kind of like spinning, you're more likely gonna get a call against you for a 2 touch, because any sort of spin on the ball means that it wasn't clean. And there's some leeway where if the ball is like spinning in the way that your shoulders were facing or where you were facing, they'll let it go. But if it's rolling backwards or even sideways, that's a 2 touch, and they let that go.
Huh.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd get into this loophole.
Yeah, and they also didn't.
I'm looking at his phone. It's like it's just a full note. Like okay, so here's the phone, right? Just the whole phone, and then this
Yeah, no,
much
like
is,
like
words.
literally, it's you can kind of see it's all words. It's all words, right? Oh man, and like they didn't know what to look for, right? Like I was watching a couple games, and like some of the touches for like blockers, because blockers will, if they get a touch on the ball, right, they'll call that. But if there's some of them, like even when it's right in front of their face, right, they'll just miss the call completely. Even if you hear solid contact between the ball and the fingers right in front of the ref's face, they'll still call it out if the ball goes out. Yeah. And another thing,
doing their job
no, they aren't. No, they because they aren't real refs.
Just to feel something.
Yeah, just to feel
Yeah,
something.
fucking
Yeah,
rep,
just to feel something.
Aye, aye.
It was bad, man. Like, and
It's many gripes, I'd say.
many gripes.
Eh?
Oh God.
What else you got there?
So yeah, here's you want to hear the fucked up?
Oh my.
You want you want to hear the fucked up thing?
This is a whole top. This is like the first episode is literally just gonna be above all.
No, it's gonna be me ranting about this tournament. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Holy.
They told one team to go home.
Oh.
They told a team to go home. Now, little context for this team. This team traveled all the way from St. Paul, Alberta. Yeah.
Where is St. Paul? It sounds like it's not Alberta.
It is Saint. It is in. There's a St. Paul in Alberta. Because
Where
my.
is this St. Paul?
I don't know. I think it's like 2 hours somewhere.
Oh, that's not far
like.
enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
but still, it's
It is
2
still-
hours.
It's still
It's
2
2
hours,
hours
of gas.
Yeah, it's 2 hours of gas, and the reason why they sent them home, like apparently from like what I heard, like the rumors, is that because the format for this tournament would be, so it's 1 to 9 because there are 9 teams. 8 and 9 will do a tiebreaker to see who will face number 1 for the playoffs, right? So instead of that happening, number 9, which was St. Paul, just got told to go home because they assumed number 8 would beat St. Paul.
What the heck are they doing?
I know, right?
No, like I don't know
I
nothing
don't
about volleyball, but that sounds
I know, it doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense,
really
right?
doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
Huh.
So to send like a whole team plus their families home without even giving them a chance to play in the playoffs,
Actually,
right?
Yeah.
Like if they like probably played in the playoffs and they lost and then they went home after, they'd probably be like fine. But like they were basically kind of guaranteed at least one more game. You know what I'm saying? And even if they did win against number 8, I mean, to be fair, they were definitely the weakest team there, but they were like they're probably going there for like experience, right?
That is true, yeah.
Right? So like having the experience of going up against like much tougher competition and not being able to like play all the games. Like I heard like from like a couple of people, yeah, these like they were swearing on the way out. They were like cursing out like the
wouldn't blame
organizers.
them, honestly.
No, you can't blame them for that. You like what kind of organizer tells a team to just go home because they think they're gonna lose?
You mentioned this thing about getting paid $200 a day. What's that about?
Oh yeah, so apparently the organizers, the refs, were paid $200 a day for so they weren't volunteering. They're it's a paid job.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion,
volunteering then.
no,
I wonder.
and in my opinion, the job they did was not worth $200.
That's not worth it. That's not $200 referee, thing.
No, because like my cousin's a carded referee, like an actual referee, and she gets paid, I think like $30 to $40 per game. And they were like on our first day, we played 6 games.
Mm-hmm. So that's
So like it'd be like $200 $4, right? So they're still even getting like underpaid if they were like getting paid per game.
right.
But they still did a shit job. Like they should have at least looked at a fucking volleyball manual,
I guess.
or like look at like some simple volleyball
Hmm.
rule calls on like YouTube. You know?
I would assume they just did it just because they were earning $200 a day.
I think it's also because of the organization that was running
Nothing
it.
was
I think
planned,
it was
I
like
can
what was it? The Filipino Association of Edmonton. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And another thing is that people like for refs can't do like they can't see everything, right? So
We only have 2 eyes.
yeah, they have each team was supposed to provide a lines person on each end.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of how it usually goes with like tournaments and such. Like we're linesing other, or like teams will actually get one of their players to do it, and if they just need to sub that person out, they'll just have the person that got subbed out do the lines instead, right? And the normal procedure for this is that they have to stand up, right? Because if the ball comes their way, they have to move out of the way.
Okay.
This tournament, there were people on chairs doing lines, or people sitting down doing lines, people on their phones doing lines,
Huh.
right? Like it's stupid because you're there to do a job. Like you should at least try and do your job, like, and do it correctly. But but the refs are so bad that even if they were doing their job, they wouldn't even listen to them. Like a couple of the games, the ref would look at me as to what the call was, instead of like No, literally, like it would be like out, or it would be like a touch out, like a block out, and he would like look at me, and then he would like just copy me. Like this is the signal for touch out, right?
Okay.
So he would just like do that. Like, cause refs have like different signals of telling people what's going on. So like if they point at the court, it's in. If they raise their arms like this, it's out. This is touch out. This is a back row attack. Right? It's not, they didn't even know this.
You
This
know
is a
what?
back
Good
row attack.
question, actually. Like, so those referees, let's say I'm assuming they're important people as well as being a referee, right? That's what I'm assuming so
They're
far.
the organizers
They're
and
the
referees.
organizers. So why don't they just do one thing? If they
I
organized
know,
it,
right?
they could have just hired instead of getting themselves paid.
I think that
for
would
it.
have brought the cost of the whole entire operation up.
It would have, but you
'Cause
would have
it
had a
was-
better experience.
Yeah, it would have, cause like we paid like as a team like $550 for entry, so for 10 people it was like $55, right? And then we added our
that
jerseys
entry is technically, covering for the venue.
for the
itself,
venue, every like the organizers, the whole entire thing,
people getting hired to do the thing.
right? And then we
But
paid like
also-
another 40, like $50 for like our jerseys because we wanted jerseys as well,
Right.
right?
What about food? How did that go?
We brought our own food. They didn't have any food. Well, it makes no, it makes sense because they're
You
like
think?
yeah, because we played at like Savile, so they had like
Oh.
they had Tim's, they had the booster juice there,
Right.
like they didn't need to pay
say
for all of
Savile
that.
or Seville? Many people say
Seville.
Seville for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like Savile, Seville, kind of thing.
Salville.
Savile.
Nah, it's Seville. There's no W in the Seville lore.
Yeah. Oh man, there are just so many things.
It's a lot for me to intake, I must say. But
Yeah.
I do get your frustration in it because when you're in a tournament, it should be organized, right?
It should be organized.
Months ahead, even.
Yeah.
If you're like, that's at a minimum if you're dedicated enough. But it doesn't look like there is.
No, they weren't.
Right.
They weren't organized.
So am I your volleyball therapist for this?
Yeah, everyone listening is just like me, like venting out what I've already vented around like 3 times already, because we've talked at length with my family. Like as I said, like our family's a volleyball family.
But then again, some of our viewers may be also like volleyball players, and
Yeah.
they will understand this.
No, they
grind.
won't understand me because I'm butchering everything I fucking say because my brain's moving too fast
Nah,
from
they'll
my
get
mouth.
through it. I'd say they'll get through it. Like,
They could be
just
like- they could
rewind
be-
like 10 seconds.
Yeah, they could be like
You
this
know.
in their like head. They could be like this.
Do their
like-
connections like those like detective things?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
With a thread and everything. They can
Yeah.
just do that. Don't worry about them.
Yeah. So what I'm saying about the guy sitting on chairs for lines, that's a safety hazard.
It is. Yeah.
It's a
if
huge
someone
safety hazard.
Goes behind, like in front of them, and falls.
Exactly.
It's their
Like they
issue.
go for the ball and they're not slow. They're not fast enough to react. Like they could get like really hurt. Like especially if they're sitting on the ground, so they could get a knee to the head. They could get like a broken nose, broken facial bones. Like it becomes a big
A
deal
variety of injuries,
really
yeah.
fast. And then basically like they could sue the organizers, and then the venue would have to bring in an investigation as to why this occurred and why there wasn't steps taken to prevent it, right? And then basically the association or the organizers will basically get hit with like an investigation. They'll probably get hit with a fine, right? They probably might not even like allow them to host that sort of tournament there anymore because like of the safety issues, you know?
Right. You know what? Now that I think about it, like as someone who doesn't, go to volleyball stuff as much, how much does it cost to start volleyball?
To start volleyball?
Yeah. Let's say right now. Let's say I want to start right now. What are my minimum requirements other than skill?
Other than skill.
Yeah.
You can honestly use like running shoes as like a start. So probably like $60 to $80 for running shoes. And then if your friend has a ball, you're basically set.
Oh, really?
So really like to get into volleyball is really easy. Like it's not a big margin for compared to like other sports. It's like same as basketball. Right.
Right.
Like if you wanted to to go all out, you could get like knee pads. You can get like the best shoes. You can get like the best ball.
Yeah, the
Mikasa,
Mikasa
Molten, like
balls,
those balls are kind of like they're like expensive.
yeah. You can tell if it's like a Mikasa, especially in anime. You can just tell
No, like okay,
whether they're either that ball or the other
yeah, the
one.
Mikasa balls are usually blue
Yellow.
and yellow,
Yeah.
and then the Molten ones are white, green, and red, or they're white, blue, and red.
Oh.
Yeah. I think NCAA in America uses Molten balls, the white, blue, and red ones for patriotism. I assume.
That's probably
It's
why.
probably why.
America.
Yeah, America. And then over here we use like Mikasa.
Mhm.
I personally like the Mikasa ones more because the Molten balls are a little bit more heavier. But the Molten ones have like more grip compared to the Mikasa. But the
Oh.
standard
Yeah, the compound's different.
yeah, the standard for like the VNL or FIVB like international volleyball tournaments is Mikasa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, too bad for the American like version of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, how about like, let's say if you get into tournaments, what are like the general fees?
It probably goes from tournament to tournament.
Oh, it depends on the venue.
Yeah, it depends on the venue. It
Okay.
depends on like the whole. Is there a cat?
We don't have no cat.
Oh.
I wish I had a cat, but like, it's the sideline for like 2 seconds. I wish I had a cat. I don't have a cat, so I bought cat figurines and like my phone. There's just cats. Everywhere.
Yeah. 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 I see.
I should have probably just muted it. It's
Nah,
okay.
it's fine.
It's the first episode. Don't worry about it. It'll get more polished as we go on, but we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
I realized like I overdressed on first episode too. No, I'm actually just so my top is formal, but like my bottom is just
Yeah, you can see. You can see. We're actually like freewheeling right now.
yeah.
It's like an onsen.
There's a very high chance that like I go like this, you'll just see like my knee, because I know I
It's not
crossed
a
it a
sack.
couple of times.
It's not a sack. Don't worry.
Yeah.
He doesn't have balls that big.
Nah, I don't think so. I'm just there. It's
It's
just there.
It's just there. Yeah, like this that whole weekend was a shit show because normally during tournaments they would take like the set score down. They didn't take any set score down. They just only took how many games they won and how many sets they won or how many sets they lost, which in the end fucked them over because we had like 2 teams tied for first, 3 teams tied for second or tied for third, and then
Right.
like 2 teams tied for like fifth, and then like everyone else had the rest. So they didn't have any good tiebreakers. The tiebreaker they came up with was 1 set to 25, and then whoever won that set retains the higher of the positions.
Huh. Yeah. That sounds about right.
So it was really stupid because we ended up being 7th when really we should have been 8th because
Oh.
we went up against a team that beat us
Mhm.
and they were lower than us. That doesn't make sense because if we go against that team and we have the same record, we should be the lesser of them because we lost to them. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You looked at me like I didn't, but yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
Okay.
our first game we played on that day to apparently get rid of the buys, which was stupid because there was a buy anyways, and then it got nullified because they told that one team to go home.
Yeah.
That first game was 1 set to 32,
Huh.
which was stupid. It was stupid because no one could get into the like the rhythm of the game, right? And also there was like money involved. So if you were like
I feel like if you just paid the referees, they'll like overlook some stuff and you'll eventually
you
win.
probably could
Pay
have.
to win.
You
know?
probably could have. Like honestly, we thought they had like a bias toward one team because that one team was connected to the person that was organizing it.
I'd say yeah, that's a pretty good. There's unfortunately refereeing comes with favoritism every now and then.
Well,
if you
they're-
pay them high enough.
The
as
refs,
well.
the refs, like they're supposed to be objective. Is that object? Is that the ref?
humans are
Yeah.
Not really that objective.
No, but
unfortunately.
it's
We will-
they're
we will
supposed to
always
be.
have biases.
Well, I'm trying to think of the word. They're supposed to be. They're not supposed to have favorites.
Neutral.
Yes,
have
they're
to be
supposed to be neutral.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
They have to be fair.
yeah, it's like the friggin' Nordic countries when World War II was happening. They just stayed out of the way. They just observed, right?
It's like, oh.
And like, oh, damn, that's what happened. Yeah, yeah, Yeah.
Well, this coffee's good.
That's
You know what? If just like for a few seconds, I don't know why Copico, the Filipino thing, is just so good. It just comes to me like every time I took a sip from this when Jasper was talking about volleyball, it just wakes you up. But then like I understand what I can sort of understand what he's talking about, but it enhances it. It wakes me up.
I like how we're like not really squared in frame. You're like way too far to the edge.
No, because I was in frame at some point, and then I just kept on leaning back, right? Because I know this.
But you're so
chair-
close to the edge.
The chair's
looks
a tad
so
bit
bad.
comfortable
It
and
looks
tad uncomfortable
It
at the
looks
same time.
so bad.
So I have to go like this then.
Now we're leaning the same way. We're like the
Sort of in the same.
We're like the Ice Cube and freaking Chris Tucker meme. Damn! Damn!
But yeah, I guess we do look like we are leaning, hey.
Yeah, we are leaning. I'm kind of leaning to like give you more space, honestly.
But I'm here. But I'm leaning this way. No, it's the camera.
It's the camera. Yeah,
It's
we're
the
not.
camera.
We're using like a webcam because.
Yeah, we can't afford stuff yet. Give
Yeah,
or
it's-
take.
Yeah. Yeah.
When are we gonna get sponsors?
This is our first episode. We gotta build a rep, dude.
That is
We
true.
gotta build a rep.
But when it comes to having a reputation, what do you think will it take to actually be good and actually get sponsorships? What do you think of that?
Well, we probably have to be like interesting.
We have to be consistent.
We have to be
as well.
consistent. We gotta be interesting. We gotta have a pretty good fan base. We have
Our fan
I-
base is all Edmontonian.
No, I learned this from like a podcast I heard. Like some people's the codes that they give out in their sponsorship deals.
Yep.
If it's like longer than like if it's basically a pain to type into like the keyboard, people aren't gonna
They're
use
less
it.
likely.
They're less likely
yeah.
to use it. So that's why I saw like for trash taste example, like most of their codes are trash because
Yeah.
it's easy, right? And like
Or
some
like Linus is just
Line- it's
short
just
Linus for like
short line
rebrand.
is yeah.
It's just easy because
It's easy.
It's memorable and it's insulting Linus at the same time.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like
But if it's like
Interesting.
if it's like if it's like I don't know, Polo Ralph Lauren, 2020, they're not gonna you're like
Yeah, they just
I
want
can't
you
be fucked. dude.
sometimes they just want you to wear it.
Yeah,
I'd say.
but like for the what's it called for the
I really want
Passcodes.
to try Manscaped Sunday. It's
Manscaped,
You
it's
know what?
called.
It's just everywhere.
yeah. I'm curious, like Harry's. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
saw
there's Harry's
I
too,
saw
yeah.
Harry's in a convenience store, right? And I was like, I should give this shit a try. I tried it. It was good.
Yeah,
It's good.
A lot of the sponsorships that many podcasts, YouTube stars are doing, they do actually work. Now the issue is like the income, I'd say, would you say it's substantial? Like what
For
do you think?
podcasts?
Yeah, what do you think they get? Do you think they get No, I know for sure they get the product itself.
Yeah, they get like ad rev.
Oh, ad rev.
Yeah, well, ad rev for like YouTube, most
that's
likely.
Yeah.
And then like I think for Spotify they give you like a percentage.
I would
relative
assume
to,
just
like,
a
your-
percentage. Yeah.
yeah.
Every play is probably just a few cents, but if many people are listening, those few cents,
Make a
Add up.
lot. Yeah, they make a lot.
right? Like I'd be fine just making 2K because that would fund my hobbies, right?
We'll get into hobbies on a different episode.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
probably on the later
Episodes. I'm talking about volleyball here. I'm talking about how shit this tournament was, man. Oh. Okay, and this is gonna be a sensitive topic. So, if you ever go to a Filipino tournament or any place where there are Filipinos playing volleyball, I would say 8 times out of 10 they are what we call bakla.
Really?
Bakla means like they're gay, like, and it is a heavily male oriented gay side
Oh.
or gay like percentage because they are more noticeable than I guess like lesbians. There's probably like a big like lesbian community within like Filipino volleyball, but for the majority of Filipino volleyball players, they are all bakla. You learned a new word today. Bakla means gay. In Tagalog.
In Filipino.
In Filipino. Wow, I sound so white.
You are
We're whitewashed.
Okay.
But bakla means gay in Tagalog, right? So there are many bakla in these tournaments, right? Now some of them actually make the full they make the full transition. So they're like trans, right?
Oh.
But they can decide basically whether they want to play with the girl side or the boy side, depending on I guess what they prefer.
Okay.
And we were watching my cousin who's a girl, full girl. Everything's good down there. And there was one player on the other team that I recognize because he came to our boys volleyball camp for our school.
Yeah.
And he was playing on a girls team.
Hmm.
To be fair to him, he looked the part. And I don't know whether they are gay or trans.
We don't really know.
We don't. I like
the
cause
background. And
the
lore of
background
it.
because as this is like when you see if you see this person, you will assume that they I'll use the right pronouns that they are a girl.
Yeah.
Because of how they act, how they what's it called? Hold themselves?
Let's say we could say compose.
How they compose themselves. Yeah. You can tell that they are like that they're my cousin has another word for them. They're zesty. They're zesty.
Bit fruity.
Bit fruity, yeah. They're a bit fruity.
Yeah.
Right? But this person was and we know the age of this person and he plays on a junior high team.
Mm-hmm.
Or they play on the junior high team. And like right now.
Yeah.
Like they're like next year they're going into grade 9.
Okay.
And they were playing on a girls team.
Yeah.
And he was basically like the serves were much more like if you this is not like a diss toward girls volleyball at all, but if you compare the power between a boy's serve to a girl's serve, which one will be stronger?
Almost sure the guy's
Yeah.
serve. Right?
So when this person went up to serve, they were basically getting aces all the time. And there was another person on that team that had heavy makeup and had a mask underneath, which I thought was she was playing with a mask underneath.
Insane.
It wasn't like this, right? It wasn't like on their face.
Oh, it was just here.
It was underneath.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Because they like us apparently they had an Adam's apple.
Huh.
Which
So
basically
that was just used to hide it.
yeah, it was just used to hide their Adam's apple.
Who? Wait, can I just? Who planned it? No, like, what would the Adam's apple do to the game, anyways? Is what I'm thinking so far.
Well, it would show that if they're like trans, they'll probably go towards the girls if they want to play on girls, right? But it's probably just like was
For
it
appearances?
yeah
Conscious.
self-conscious
Self-awareness.
self-awareness,
Oh, okay.
like having like an Adam's apple is less feminine in a way.
Okay, understandable.
Yeah.
Huh.
But isn't it kind of, do you see where the issue lies there?
Yeah, not just power, but like the issue becomes can what's it called? It's a little bit hard to explain in these like current events because a lot has been going on as of August 12th,
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, like whole PC culture,
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus, like identifying, not even identifying as different genders, identifying as like 3-year-olds, identifying as like dogs, identifying as blind.
I'm gonna make fun of the toaster people.
Identifying as blind. Like there was a woman who like purposely blinded herself because she felt like she was supposed to be born blind.
Yeah.
And apparently she like more power to her. She said she's happy being blind. I'm here. I'm like I like my eyes. I like seeing things. Even I'm like my prescription's really heavy, and if I take off my glasses, I find living really really hard. Like really, it's difficult to cope with.
That's true.
Right? Because all my life I wanted to have like 20/20 vision. I was like jealous of people like you for having 20/20 vision. Because like when you're laying in bed, people with glasses. No, laying in bed sucks, especially when you're like on your side or like if you're like laying down, your glasses will ride up and then you get like this weird like smudge marks along here. and then if you're OCD, kind of OCD like me, and your glasses get even the slightest bit dirty, you'll want to clean it. And I've had friends who have had glasses that are all smudged and fucked up, and I'm like, let me clean your glasses because that is fucking disgusting, and I don't know how you can live like this and see shit.
You know what? There's a chance that also it's not just the smudges that plays part. It's also what they can technically afford for eyeglasses. Because some eyeglasses
Bro, you
are
have a shirt.
I know, but some eyeglasses are poorly designed.
I guess.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like my Oakleys, for example. Like
You're saying Oakley's badly designed?
no, and they're really good because the smudges always come from my fingers because I always touch them. So at the end of the day, it is my fault, not whoever designed the eyeglasses / sunglasses. Because I don't go out without sunglasses these days. It's just too bright for my 20/20 vision. But then again, I am ruining it. But then again, I am ruining it because I have like, you know, just for context, like I have a double deck, what's it called, bed, right? And then I have my phone just on top that way. So I'm lying down, like watching Netflix or BoJack Horseman, just like
you're like
this.
fucking
And I'm
the guys from
enjoying-
Wall-E.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying the time of my life because I can also play COD that way.
You also play COD, you can also wank.
Yeah, there's also that too, like hands free, like Google next page, you know. But yeah, there's that. Yeah, I'd say it's very thing. But coming back to the transgender volleyball topic, I'd say it's quite difficult to talk about it.
It's like
these days.
if they want to, like if
Because-
they want to play, like if a man becomes a trans woman, and they decide to play in the men's division, I mean that's fine because they were a man before, and they have, I guess, because you can't really get rid of the biological makeup
Right,
of
yeah,
being
yeah.
a man and or being a woman, right? So if you are a man who transitions into a trans woman and you decide to play on the men's side and understand and fully accept what comes with playing with the men's side, all more power to you, right? We saw like a couple of trans people on different teams, right? They can hit, they can play. They're like it doesn't really make a difference. But if it's the other way around, in a tournament where it's mainly comprised of 100% biologically female athletes, that difference in gender, even in age, that difference in gender is astronomical.
I'd say mostly when it comes to like sports, it's all about that difference in power.
Yeah.
Like the way they lift or the way they serve
Yeah.
or the way they jump. It's
Yeah.
all about that physical attributes that make it become a difficult topic to talk about.
Because if you
Because some people are gonna think they don't want that, and
Yeah.
some people think will want that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I have no opinion of it because I don't play sports, so I'm free of that. You know, I wash my hands off of that. So, if I were to create an opinion of it, do you think it would be fair if the... No, it wouldn't be fair. Never mind. It would
That's
not,
so bad.
It would not be fair.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, like I said, like what just happened now, you have no idea. I have no idea, like what to say.
Yeah, it's hard. Like
We leave it to the opinionated.
I had
people.
some,
I have no opinion.
I had something in my mind and then I lost it. My train of thought just went woo, while I was listening to your ramble, and I'm kind of mad because it was a really good point.
I was talking about power. So if you
Power.
not Power, the anime character from Chainsaw Man, episode when did she appear?
Episode 2.
2 already?
I think so. 2.
Oh, yeah, was it 2?
I think it was 2.
Not Power from Chainsaw Man episode 2.
No.
Power
Talking
in
about-
terms of physical might.
Yeah.
No, it didn't bring anything back.
It brought something back, but at the same time, it didn't really help. I'll try and ramble on as I try to make my way back to it.
You'll get to it.
I'll,
Yeah.
yeah, like what you said with like the power difference. Like, fuck, I had a really good point.
Oh, I'm so good
Oh.
at being the subject.
I had a really good point. I'm actually kind of mad now. I'm kind of mad that I can't think about it. I swear, I'm gonna wake up tonight and be like, shit, That's what I was meant to
No,
say.
you can bring it up to the next episode.
Callback, yeah, freaking callback.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's that thought. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so mad. I'm so mad, man. I'm actually so mad.
You'll get to it.
So it was like we were talking about like trans.
Yes.
And then we were talking like different teams, power, not the anime character.
And then but that was it. We're gonna speed this up. This part.
No, we're gonna leave it in as.
Leave it in raw.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna leave it in raw.
Okay. Cool.
Raw, unadulterated, freaking
Not GMO free.
GMO free, organic,
Yeah.
organically sourced,
Nothing.
MSG free.
No, you're not gonna get. You're not gonna get back to it. You'll get back to it tonight, and then like if you remember it on the next episode,
Just
that's
do it the
exactly
next
what's gonna
episode.
happen.
Oh man,
it's
that
okay.
kind of sucks. But yeah, it's tough.
The topic of
Of trans
Tra-
people in
trans people in like sports in general,
like
when it comes to power, is a very difficult.
like did you hear that swimming what was it called, the swimming trans person who identified as a female, and they entered a female contest and they beat the female record by more than several seconds.
Right, many of them are actually just doing it out of spite. There's that other, I don't know if it was a meme or an actual thing. So the weightlifter announced themselves as trans, participated in a
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
beat all the records,
Yeah.
and then turned into a man again.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
So like, what happens with the records? Do they just be called null and void? And like, what kind of point are they trying to prove? Right? Because if
I'd
a
say
woman were
there's one very clear, which is men are generally better at strength than women. That's what they're gonna prove.
I got it.
Okay, there you go. Alright, so what is it?
Okay, so if you look at female volleyball compared to men's volleyball is all about power and speed. If you look at female volleyball, it's more about defense and strategy. And
You know what?
it plays
okay.
into like like the different way that the volleyball is played, because if you're in a men's league, things will be coming at you faster. That's what she said.
They will be more aggressive.
It'll be more aggressive. The hits
Yeah.
will be harder. The ball speed is faster.
Because the point is speed and power.
Yeah, the tempo is faster, right? It's all about
Yeah.
speed and power. Whereas the women's, it's more strategic. And like if you look at like defensively, the girls' rallies are way longer than the men's rallies.
Oh, okay.
Like if you look at like one set from like a women's game, any women's game, compare that to a men's game. Like a women's rally for one serve might last like 5-10 seconds. A men's rally will last like 2 to 5 seconds.
Really?
Depending on like the plays and stuff. Like obviously there are like mega rallies and rallies that could go on for like over a minute for both sides, but generally the women are more defensively inclined because they have to like deal with like the strategy of like where they're gonna hit. I have to be here.
This is from like what you're seeing.
This is from what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
We do not generalize. We
No,
do not generalize.
no, this is like completely objective. It's an objective opinion because I coach both girls and boys volleyball, and I see that.
Really? I thought you only casted
I
boys volleyball.
for club volleyball I coach girls with my uncle.
Oh.
Yeah, and for
okay.
boys volleyball I'm the senior head coach. So like the boys volleyball, like compare that with the girls, right? The boys volleyball games are much faster, and the girls volleyball games they're like a tempo down. It's not a bad thing. It's strategic.
It's aggressiveness versus
Like the women's volleyball
strategy.
can be like aggressive, right? They can still have those big plays as well, but more generally they'll be able to pick up more balls. That sounds really bad.
I didn't take it wrong.
Okay.
It's your fault. It's your fault. I was taking it seriously. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there's that. Hey, I'm so glad it came back to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What the frick?
So yeah, there's
that.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was me.
one I did not know.
That was me ranting about the volleyball tournament. I don't know whether that made any sort of sense or if it will actually make any sense.
I'd say the last topic.
The
made
last
me
topic's hard
more-
hitting.
Yeah, it's I was
I
more
think the last-
generally inclined because like that's like my area when it comes to because like I want to be like a teacher in a few years time. Like I'm getting there, maybe like a year and a half more. So we eventually I will tackle these ideas
Mhm.
and have to, defend or argue against them.
Yeah.
So right now I'd say it's a good way for me to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? To ponder over. So it's a good opinion building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get many things out of some topics, I'd say, if you just think hard enough.
Yeah. We'll probably revisit this topic back in the future.
Yeah.
Most likely. Because like, if you, like, for the transgender community, if they were playing against, like, different, if they were, like, playing, like, trans people, it'd probably be, like, okay and fine. Though I don't know how big the community is and whether, there's enough people or athletes, I should say, that will make, like, a tournament like that. Kind of what I'm saying.
I would say in this atmosphere, it depends on, yeah, like you said, the
Or
amount
whether,
of
like,
people
they're
and,
even
like,
athletes at all.
yeah, yeah.
Because for Filipinos, like, the big sport we play is volleyball, and that's where you see a lot
Not
of
basketball,
these. Well, basketball too, but like
because
but for
you know what?
for
Let's just say 9 out of 10 Filipinos play basketball.
9 out of 10 Filipinos
I'm
play
one that
basketball.
don't.
I'm also the one that doesn't, but I'm more athletically inclined because I've
To volleyball.
for sports in general, because I've played hockey, and hockey has like a good foundation for all other sports in my opinion.
Speaking of hockey, I still have your it's called your card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I need to like find all of them
Because
because I know I have
name. Yeah, I'm gonna redact that name.
yeah I have and then I have yours.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh yeah, we could just do that. So let's say we mention a name, you're just gonna hear boop. And
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah. Until they come on and or feel like they're okay with
Yeah.
us being
We're gonna keep it an NDA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a great idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for the first ep. I don't know whether this is gonna come out first or second.
I did say first already. I've been saying first like a good more than 6 times already. That this is
yeah.
the first episode.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it at that.
We'll keep it at that. All
Yeah.
right. That's it for the first episode of the Initial F podcast.
Oh.
We don't have any Patreon. We don't know if you will set up a Patreon. If
We
we
have
do
no
set up a
Instagram.
Patreon, we will let you know about it. And we do not have an Instagram.
No social media yet except
Actually,
for this
I
YouTube
will
for the time being.
I'll probably make an Initial F Instagram.
Okay.
It's pretty easy, honestly.
It's easy.
I made the Initial F channel like in like 2 seconds.
You gave me the password and I still don't know what it is. We
It
should
is-
probably change that.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
We'll change the
We'll
password
change,
as well.
We'll change it eventually.
Yeah.
And we'll probably listen to this back to see if it actually is good. And if not, we'll probably kill ourselves.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's scuffed as fuck.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
See ya
See you next week.
next week. give or
Next
take.
week.
Yeah.